I would pick Chattanooga over Asheville every single time. And I think after watching this video, you will too. I've been to Asheville multiple times and I get why people love it. It's beautiful there. So this isn't a hit piece. I've spent years helping buyers make this exact comparison between these two cities, and here are some things that people consistently miss. Full transparency, I do live in the Chattanooga area. I grew up here, I'm building a home here, and so that's the lens that this comes from. Now, before we get into the exact reasons why I'd choose Chattanooga over Asheville, I want to tell you that over the past couple of years, I've seen the number of buyers interested in Asheville dramatically decrease. Now, it's not because the mountains got smaller or the food scene got worse. There's a specific reason, and I'll come back to that in a few minutes. Let's get into section 1, which is the tax reality. So this is one that a lot of people intuitively know, but they haven't really run the numbers. So what are the main tax differences between living in Asheville and Chattanooga? Tennessee has 0 state income tax. This isn't just a talking point, that's literally the law. Now, Tennessee used to have something called the Hall income tax. This was an income tax on dividends and interest, but the state legislature gradually phased this out over a 5-year period, and on January 1 of 2021, the tax was no longer in effect. So this means W-2 income, capital gains, and dividends, they're not touched by the state of Tennessee. North Carolina, on the other hand, is completely different. They run a flat state income tax, and in 2025, it was about 4.25%. There's a scheduled reduction this year, bringing it to 3.99%. Now, here's something interesting to know about future reductions. Future cuts in North Carolina's state income tax are tied to state revenue triggers, and given that Hurricane Helene cost North Carolina an estimated nearly $60 billion, the likelihood of those revenue triggers being hit is uncertain. So let's put up some numbers. Obviously, things are going to be different based on your specific tax situation. This is not tax advice. These are just rough estimates at the differences between living in these two states. If your annual household income is $200,000, in Tennessee, you're going to pay $0 in state income tax. In North Carolina, that would be roughly $8,500. And you can see how this chart progresses. And this is every single year. If your household is making around $400,000, then you would save around $17,000 simply by living in a state with no state income tax. So when it comes to state income tax, there's not really a lifestyle argument to be made here. It's just simple math. Let's move on to section 2 and talk about what money actually buys you. In Asheville's prime corridors, downtown, Montford, and North Asheville, you're looking at roughly $350 to $400 a square foot, meaning a $1 million budget buys you a home between 2,200 and 2,800 square feet. These tend to be older, renovated structures, often on under a quarter of an acre. On top of that, you can expect to pay a premium for views, elevation, or proximity to downtown and the cultural corridor of the Asheville area. In Chattanooga, at the same price point, the picture looks completely different. The median home sale price around here is right around $400,000 at the time of making this video. So this means if you're buying a home above $750,000, you're firmly in the luxury market in the Chattanooga area. So if you were looking to spend the same $1 million that you were in Asheville, you could expect to buy a home between 3,500 and 4,500 square feet, more than likely newer construction on half an acre to over an acre of land. And in this price range, you could find a great home in some of Chattanooga's most sought after corridors, including communities like Signal Mountain and Ottawa. So we're talking more square footage, more land, and significant savings from a lack of property taxes. That's not true. It's not a lack of property taxes. So we're talking more square footage, more land, newer finishes, and significant savings from a lack of state income tax. Hey, really quick, this is an ad. If you don't need help making a move to the Chattanooga area, skip this part of the video. But if you do, I'm a licensed real estate agent in both Tennessee and Georgia, and my mission is to help people find the right home for them. If that sounds like something you'd like help with, book a relocation call through the QR code here on screen or use the contact info in the description below. Okay, let's get back to the video. Let's move on to section 3, which is the livability argument. Now, this one is really hard to quantify, but it's one of those things that I've seen affect buyers the most, especially once they've actually spent time in both places. Asheville is optimized for visitors. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just what the data shows. Tourism accounts for roughly 20% of the county's GDP. Before Hurricane Helene, visitors were injecting roughly $3 billion a year into the local economy. On an average day in 2023, there was 1 visitor for every 7 residents. That pressure and that outside traffic reshapes a city. It reshapes where the restaurants are, it reshapes affordability, and it reshapes what traffic feels like. Prior to 2024, Buncombe County had roughly 5,200 short-term rentals. That's about 4.5% of the housing stock. When surveyed, a third of local residents said that the volume of visitors was impacting locals' ability to enjoy their city. I've done a number of trips to Asheville, and it's been a little while since I've been there, but last time I was there, I noticed that there was a real tension in the city between it being a great place to visit and a great place to actually live. The art scene is real, the restaurants are great, but is it a place you would actually want to live? I have buyers I'm working with right now that are in the process of leaving Asheville, and they're not leaving Asheville because something happened to them. They're leaving because there's been a real shift in the culture of the city, and this becomes really apparent if you spend enough time there. So this is not unique to Asheville. This happens to any city that overly optimizes for one thing, like tourism. But it's really worth considering if you're thinking about putting $800,000 in the next chapter of your life in that area. Now, Chattanooga's economy, on the other hand, is built different. There's a strong manufacturing and automotive sector. Healthcare and logistics are becoming big. The insurance sector is growing as well, and so is tourism. While the tourism sector is growing, it's not what's driving the economy in Chattanooga. It's one part of something that's more diversified. And what's great about living here is that the neighborhoods still feel like they belong to the people who actually live in them. Let's move on to section 4, which is the risk conversation. Now, I want to spend a few minutes talking about the hurricane and all the flooding that impacted Asheville. And to be clear, I'm not trying to pile onto a city that's already been through a lot. I personally know people that were impacted up there. I have a lot of friends that went and helped with cleanup and with hauling things out of these areas after that devastation from the flood. Also, another thing to note about that situation is that it was a natural disaster, and it's fairly unlikely that something like that is going to hit Asheville again. So let's go ahead and talk about what the recovery from the hurricane means for this area. The total damage and recovery assessment for North Carolina after the hurricane is nearly $60 billion. Directly around Nashville, over 9,000 residential units were damaged, with 331 being completely destroyed, and 609 had major structural damage. Now, the county has adopted a formal 5-year recovery plan. Now, at the time of making this video, there are 114 active recovery projects designed to help rebuild infrastructure and get the city back on its feet. Now, this timeline matters a lot. If you buy in Asheville today, you're buying into an area that is actively recovering from a terrible natural disaster. There will be strained municipal resources, and there will be ongoing uncertainty around disclosure requirements with homes that were impacted by the flooding. A few things to note: in Buncombe County, active inventory is up nearly 50%, and a significant portion of this is out-of-state investors choosing to liquidate or sell their rental properties instead of rebuilding or repairing. In 2025, the short-term rental market in Asheville contracted by nearly 21%, and the median sale price dropped significantly over the year. So could the same thing happen in Chattanooga? I guess it's possible in certain areas, but it likely would not have the same effect that things did in the Asheville area due to the geography and the way that the valley sits. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but over the past 2 years, something has shifted in the number of buyers that come to me with Asheville on their radar. So here's what actually happened. Before Hurricane Helene, I'd regularly have people come to me that were trying to decide between maybe Chattanooga, Knoxville, and Asheville. After the hurricane, I've just seen a lot less people that are interested in moving to the area, not because of anything that I'm saying, just because of the situation in Asheville. There are a lot of people that are nervous about putting their money into a market that is mid-recovery. And also, there's something else. I'm currently working with buyers that are relocating from the Asheville area, and it's not really about the hurricane or the food scene or anything like that. It's about the economy catering towards tourists and there being a significant cultural shift in the area. So that's not something you're going to see in a market report. It's just something I'm seeing in the conversations I have with people that are trying to make a move to the Southeast. Okay, let's move on to section 5, which is what Chattanooga actually gives you. I've spent a lot of time in this video talking about what Asheville isn't. Now let's talk about what Chattanooga is. The city jumped 26 spots in the Milken Institute's best performing cities index in 2024. It ended up ranking 46th nationally. This put it ahead of markets like Asheville, North Carolina, Boulder, Colorado, and Austin, Texas. And that ranking takes into account things like job growth, economic growth, wage growth, and high-tech job concentration. Chattanooga was in the top 20 cities that Americans are moving to in 2025, and Hamilton County, where Chattanooga is, added nearly 3,000 new residents in 2024 alone from domestic migration. Let's talk about a couple of things that make Chattanooga great. First of all, you have a solid economic base. There's an amazing manufacturing industry in the greater Chattanooga area. Probably the leading employer there is Volkswagen. Alongside Volkswagen, there are numerous suppliers and third-party vendors that work with them to produce cars. And then there's EPB, who provide the power and the internet in the greater Chattanooga area. EPB is widely recognized as providing some of the fastest residential internet in America. And in 2022, they upgraded the internet so that you can literally get 25 gigabits a second down if you want. It's pretty expensive, but you can get it. A University of Tennessee study calculated that between 2010 and 2024, the EPB fiber optic network generated nearly $5.3 billion of revenue between 2010 and 2024. So if you're thinking about moving here and you rely on having fast internet to run your business or for your remote job, then this is a non-negotiable must-have. In addition, you have a strong healthcare sector, insurance sector, logistics is growing in the Chattanooga area, and there's an emerging tech scene. What I love about Chattanooga is that you have great access to the outdoors, you have fantastic restaurants, and it's just a place where just about anyone from any background can find a great cultural fit and find a group that they mesh with. So if you made it this far in the video, you're not just casually browsing, you're trying to figure out which city is right for you. Here's what I'd say. Asheville is a beautiful place. There's great restaurants, and it's an amazing weekend destination. But if you're looking for a place to move your family, to put your equity, and to build over the next decade, then Chattanooga is a no-brainer. The tax math is real. The value at the luxury tier is real. The risk profile difference between the two cities is real. And the trajectory that Chattanooga is on is very real. So I want to say thank you for watching this video, and as my gift to viewers of this channel, I offer free relocation consultations for people thinking about making the move to the area. If you'd like to schedule one, you can through the QR code here on screen. Also, if you made it this far in the video, YouTube thinks you might like some of this content here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.